Hi everybody, today we'll be going through valid palindrome 2. So given a non-emptying string S, you may delete at most one character. Judge whether you can make it a palindrome. A look at the input and output. So for example, the input we have ABA, and this is a palindrome. So the output we will print out is true. And as you can see, we don't need to delete any characters. So A, B, and A is a palindrome. Let's look at the second example. So the second example, the input is ABCA, and this is also true. So if you look closely, we can delete one character in this string to make it a palindrome, and the character is actually C. So if we remove C, we can see that ABA is actually a palindrome. So how can we approach this question? Okay, so the first thing we need is actually a method to determine whether the input is actually a palindrome or not. So this is very similar to the basic palindrome check. So for example, if we have the input ABCBA, okay, then the algorithm to actually determine if ABCBA is a palindrome is first, we need to have two pointers. The first pointer will keep track of the first character at the front. The second pointer will keep track of the last character at the back. So at each iteration of a while loop, we will check the first character with the last character. If they are the same, then we would actually move the pointer inwards. So the first pointer will check B, the second pointer will move on to B at the back, and then they will compare the characters to check whether they are the same. And after that, the third iteration, the two pointers will actually meet at the point C. So this is actually one character left, and then we will exit the while loop and return true. So this is actually the first step to determine a valid palindrome. Okay, so once we have the method to actually determine whether a string is a palindrome or not, we need to modify that method a little bit, because this problem specifically said that you may delete at most one character. So if there's any character in the string that actually prevents this string from being a palindrome, and if we are able to remove it, for example, we remove C and it becomes a palindrome, then the output should return true. So how can we do this? Okay, let's go back to our previous example. Let's say we have ABCBA. And in this string, now let's change it to ABCBZA. Clearly, this is not a palindrome now because we added the letter Z. So let's look how we can modify our algorithm. The first step is to actually have two pointers. So we have the first pointer, and we also have the second pointer. Okay, so the first pointer will check A and compare it with the second pointer A. So they are the same. So let's move on. We increment the first pointer, and then we decrement the second pointer inwards. Then we check the characters. B and Z, they are not the same. So here in this step, we need to modify the code to give it a chance. So for the second pointer, let's give it a chance. We will keep the first pointer at B, and we will move the second pointer inwards. So as you can see, we gave the second pointer one chance to ignore a character and move inwards and continue the comparison to determine if it is a palindrome. So once we have given the second pointer a chance, let's continue the steps. So B and B we compare, they are the same, and then we move both pointers inwards, and then it reach C, and this is the only character left, and therefore we break out of the while loop and determine that this is a valid palindrome. Okay, so this time let's have the string AZBCBA. Okay, so the same thing, we'll have two pointers, one at the front and one at the back. So A and A, they are the same. So we move the first pointer inwards and we move the second pointer inwards. Z and B, they are not the same. So this time on the left hand side, we would actually give this first pointer a chance. So we would move the first pointer inwards and we fix the second pointer. So B and B, they compare, they are the same characters, and then we move on in the iteration. So we compare the character C is one character left. We can break out of the while loop and we are done. Okay, let's move on to the code. Okay, so let's first create the method to determine whether it is a valid palindrome or not. So we have a isPalindrome method and we have a string s. So just now we talked about giving characters a chance. We will need to have a counter here. So let's have an integer k to represent the chance. And if this chance counter decreases between below 0, then we have to return false. So if k is less than 0, let's return false. So the normal way to determine whether a string is a palindrome or not, let's have a int I equals to 0, and then we have int r, which is the length, minus 1. So this will be L and R, left and right. So let's traverse the string. So while L is less than R, and then let's check the first pointer and the last pointer, the characters. If s.char at L is not equals to s.char at R, then we will need to keep one of the pointer fixed, either the left or the right, and move the second pointer, either left or the right, inwards to give it one chance. And then we will have to decrement this value k. So assuming this case, if we are at the first pointer here and the second pointer here, and we see a z, we want to move the first pointer inwards. So we can do so by having a string ignore L char equals to s.substring, and then we do a L plus 1 to ignore the first character, the first left hand side character, and for the right side we fix it, so it's a R plus 1. And if we have this case, we have a ignore R character, and then we do a s dot substring L and R. So we would actually keep the first pointer fixed, and for the second pointer we will just move it inwards. Then we just need to try both sides and call our function isPalindrome ignore L char and k minus 1, because we will need to decrease the chance of k. And for the right side, we can also check same thing. We can have isPalindrome and ignore right character. So we would need to return either of each to be true. So for the usual way, we can do L plus plus and R minus minus to move the pointers. And outside of this while loop, we can return true. So now that we have our method, let's actually try to use it. So for the first step, we just check whether the string is null or the string's length. Is actually 0. Then if they are, then we will just return false. Else we will return the method. We will use the method s, and here we set k to be equals to 1 because we can delete at most one character. Let's see if it runs. Yes. Okay, let's submit it. Okay, so our code works, and that's actually how you solve this problem.